Hello and welcome back to the Internal Library Meditation Series. If you'd like to skip this introduction, the meditation will start at the 1-minute mark. Locate yourself somewhere where you're unlikely to be disturbed, and when you hear the bell, the practice has begun. You'll hear today's consideration, followed by long periods of silence, during which time I'll occasionally check in to remind you of the practice. I'll let you know when we've reached the final minute, and when you hear the bell for the second time, the practice has ended. As always, these meditations are free for everyone. I don't ever want a lack of money to stand in anyone's way of their cultivation of focus, presence, and peace. But if you do feel called to make a contribution in some way, you can find PayPal and VenMo links in the description of this video. All donations are greatly appreciated. And now, on with the practice. This meditation will be unlike any we've done thus far. It requires a place where you can see lots of people coming and going. You could go to a town square, a mall, or a market of sorts, a cafe, somewhere similarly busy. You want to be able to see people's faces clearly, maybe even catch pieces of their conversations. If this isn't available today, I'd recommend coming back to this one another time. You really do want to be there in person with the people. Okay, are you in a populated area? If so, position yourself such that your presence and attention on others isn't very obvious. We don't want to disturb anybody. We'll be attempting to generate a specific emotion known as Sonder. This is defined as the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. Believe it or not, this is actually true. There's one thing I've learned from my relatively short life. It's that people, anyone and everyone, are absolutely fascinating. We spend years of our lives limiting our fascination to just a few people at a time, and we let everyone else pass by as mere icons of humanity. Now, this is understandable. We only have so much bandwidth to work with. But I find daily that each person, given the chance, turns out to be as real, as alive, as complicated, and as human as you and I. Before we begin, a quick note on intention. This meditation is not so much about judging or assessing people's quality, but rather apprehending them as objectively as we can. That being said, you'll likely find yourself tempted to draw conclusions, opinions, maybe even judgments of others as you observe them. And that's okay. We are social creatures. Sizing each other up is what we do. Just notice this temptation as it arises and let these thoughts go, returning to simply observing details neutrally as best you can. So, in order to generate this feeling of Sonder, we'll start simply. Just take a few easy breaths to settle in. And just watch people go. Watch them like you're watching fire, seeing them like a force of nature. Notice their movements, similar to and yet distinct from yours. Notice how they walk. Notice how they sway their arms. Notice their faces, their smiles, their frowns. Notice how they talk, the way their expressions change in real time. Notice how they gesticulate. Notice their clothing, their hair, their accessories. Each of these consciously chosen today, like yours were. Notice those who are alone. There's a good chance they're lost in thought right now. But maybe they're not. Maybe they just taken a long breath in and out and are contemplating the same mystery as you right now. Notice those who are with others. Notice who is talking. Notice who is listening. These people could be friends, family, lovers. Maybe they've just met recently. They're almost as mysterious to each other as they are to you. Notice those with animals and how those animals are with them. Notice the various ages of the people. See children, see elders, see people of your own generation, or your parents' generation. Or your grandparents, or your kids, or your grandkids. Notice the ability level of these people. Who looks strong, fit, healthy? Who looks frail, tired, unwell? Notice signals of wealth, or at least alleged wealth. Notice who looks like they're in a hurry, uninterested in any of these details about others. Notice who looks like they've got all the time in the world, who may be sitting in a dreamlike realm of imaginative surreality. Notice beauty. Notice insecurity. Notice performance. Notice spontaneity. Now, from here, go a little deeper. Think a little more abstractly. Consider how each one of these people you've observed, from babies to centenarians, men and women, boys and girls, rich and poor, healthy or sick, joyful, somber, irritated, peaceful. Every single one of them have the whole of their lives going on just as you do. They have people that they know, love, and trust. They have people who've hurt them deeply. They've felt deep ecstasy. They felt crippling pain as you have. They've felt nagging body aches that they can't explain. They've been utterly fascinated. They've been bored out of their minds. They've had their hearts broken. And they've left pain in their wake, maybe without even knowing it. They've put smiles on the faces of strangers. They've aggravated people that they'll never meet. They have insecurities of which you may never know. They've got secrets they've never told a soul that they'll take with them to the grave. They've cried tears that have gone soothed, and tears that have gone unsoothed. They've laughed uproariously amongst friends. And they've laughed alone with nobody around to hear it. They've ached in desire. They've fantasized deeply. They've realized deep truths about themselves. They've come through trials and struggles. They've solved problems that plagued them for years. And yet they may struggle today with what seem to be the simplest issues for another, such as yourself. They have thoughts and views on God, on death, on love, on justice, on fairness, on freedom. They feel, in some way, special, never to be quite perfectly understood. And yet, they felt just like everyone else, just like you. They have dreams of a better world, of a better life, of a chance at peace. They're made of trillions upon trillions of individual cells, organized into tissues, bones, organs, systems, and miraculous bodies that balance 10 million operations a minute, surviving, even thriving for decades on end, just like you. These people, walking, running, standing, sitting, moving around you, are just going about their day in the flow of their life, feeling new things every moment, their minds churning with novelty and familiarity, their hearts beating steadily, their thoughts coming and going just as yours do. They were each the sperm that made it, the egg that caught hold. They were each born of woman, seated by their father. They've grown and are still growing. They've aged and are still aging. They've seen or will see birth, sickness, old age, and death. And one day, they too, like you and I, will speak their final sentence. We'll hear their final song. We'll dream their last dream. And we'll breathe their last breath. And they, like you and I, will pass into death themselves and enter the mystery to see what happens next for themselves. What do you feel for these people? Sadness? Joy? Curiosity? Rage? Envy? Desire? Fear? perplexity, hope, kinship, love. Feel what you feel for them. And for the next few minutes, just watch them go. Watch them live. Watch them be. And now, close your eyes. Let everybody go. Just be here and breathe. Re-engage with your senses. Rediscover your breath. And your presence in the space you're in. Let yourself fully come back to your day. And for the next little while, let this contemplation run in the back of your head. People in stores, people on the sidewalk, people in cars, or people just like you, just like me. Don't lose touch with that. Their lives are worth it, as is yours. Thank you once again for taking time to cultivate your focus, your presence, and your peace, both for yourself and for the rest of us. Take care, and I'll see you next time.